Well, there, I live in El Cajon, and I go to get my coffee right by that church every day. And the reason it's there, in fairness to the staff, is they established their establishment in an industrial zone in El Cajon. So it buffered up against an industrial zone in the county, which is why it wouldn't have shown up to them unless they went to the church. And it has become a big thing. Anyways, the county made me go get an ID card, which has my picture on it, and that information was sent to California. By the way, the county charges more than anybody else for medical marijuana card. Goes to the state, and they certify the doctor, they certify my condition, they certify all this other stuff. So I'm going through all these bells and whistles to get this stuff done, and what do I have? More restrictions, more everything. It's just, to me, kind of crazy. But it does do one good thing for me. It reminds me of the 60s and the kind of discrimination I was up against then. And it's the same thing now. I mean, the words are different, but the spirit and the heart's the same. It has nothing to do with medicine. They're talking about a battle that they're not even talking about what the rights are or what is involved in getting the regulations through for us. They're talking about, well, the poor children. I have a daughter that graduated from state. She has graduated with honors. I have a son now that's become a comedian, probably because of what dad's trying to do. And I have a younger son who's a lifeguard. And yesterday when I was at the city council, I said, well, you know, I spent 26 years working for the city, and now it seems like there's another
What city council?
City of San Diego.
Okay.
And he says, now it seems like I spent another year working for him for nothing. And one of the gentlemen I talked to outside says, I explained to my son, so he says, you have your son's now doing public service. Now, of course, being a lifeguard is a lot more acceptable than working in wastewater or, for instance, being an advocate of medical marijuana, but I don't really see much difference the way I look at it. Anyways, thank you for your time. And
Well, the items we...
Yes, I'm number one, the language change.
Yes.
That's the San Diego two-step at its best, because that wasn't there to begin with. The zoning, I figured that out and I was absolutely shocked, but there probably isn't a developer in the county of San Diego that didn't already know that ahead of time. And I just don't like the language change. I mean, it's sort of a weaselly thing to do, you know? But I've lived here for a long time and it doesn't surprise me. Thank you.
My name is Rudy Reyes. I was the worst injured, nationally recognized as the hero of the 2003 Cedar fires. I was burned 65–70% of my body, and I was prescribed medical marijuana in UCSD. I'm one of the only people you will find that was prescribed by UCSD in UCSD. I live in Santee. My problem here is really the fact that you guys are continuing this de facto ban, and I'm seeing a lot of prejudice and no real understanding for those of us that have gone through real pains and real issues. That we're here trying to stand in front of you and say, look, we need a way to acquire our medicine. And then you turn around and listen to groups like this who are funded by the county as a prevention coalition who shouldn't even be legally allowed to sit here and speak to you. Again, I've run for county supervisor. I'm running again in 2 years for county supervisor. I'm trying to make it better for everybody else. I'm taking that lemon that I was given, a burn of 70%, and trying to make it better because our county has failed us in regards to fire safety. So therefore, what I'm asking you guys to do is stop the prejudice. Stop the way you are looking at this as a drug, because at this present moment, it's not a drug. To people like me, it's a true medication. We've needed it. I would rather be smoking weed than having to shoot up morphine or heroin for the rest of my life. That's the levels we're talking about here. And you don't seem to want to understand that. And then from there, the next question I have is, as it sits right now, how many partials are there? And of those partials, how many of those can actually be used for this or willing to be used for this? And then if you add that border line that they want to put on, how many partials does that make? Again, de facto ban. We have an issue here. And the fact is mentality over here is saying drug, 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 when the reality is 13, 14 years ago, we made it medicine. Please take that into consideration. Don't continue this de facto ban. In regards to the way, what you're looking at today as in 1 and 2, and the way they're phrased in the verbatim, the problem here is the fact that, as you know, they're trying to make it more prejudicial. They're trying to make it so that people cannot function within the county of San Diego. And that's wrong. So again, whether or not you guys pass this, if I end up on that county, we're readdressing this. I'm gonna bring it up again myself if I end up on that county. We're gonna readdress this, because what we are doing here now is wrong. It's a injustice to the idea of what was passed in 1996. It's an injustice to what the true people of California want. Literally last year, we almost passed complete marijuana legalization by 47%. That's a huge number, because when I started politics, they told me marijuana isn't healthy. California will never pass that. The reality is, it was on the ballot last year. You guys gotta stop and re-examine. The moray, the way America looks at this, is changing. And it's time you guys realize that. Again, thank you for the moment of letting me speak. Don't allow the hatred to fill your heart.
Thank you.
Speakers in favor, John Gibson, Will Chessman, Chris Banner, and Todd Walsh.
Morning, John Gibson. I support the ordinances that the county has tried to create some regulations here. Contrary to some of the things you've heard today, somebody that needs pot can legally grow a plant at home with very little regulations. So having to have one of these facilities isn't necessarily the case. I'd support the document before you today if you just make a simple little modification to it. If you look at section 2, paragraph D, where it stipulates 3 setbacks, and staff, I chatted with before the meeting, this jurisdictional line, El Cajon people just want the same jurisdictional setbacks that you stipulated here. 1,000 feet from our schools. I know there was a comment by one of the planning commissioners. The way it works is my understanding, if I have a church and a liquor store wants to go in within that setback area, they can't go in. But if there's a medicinal thing here and a church wants to go in within that boundary, it doesn't work in reverse. So technically the church can make a decision, can they go in? Yeah, they can go in if they're willing to choose that. But it means that if there's already a church there, a liquor store, or a marijuana dispensary can't. So simply, I think if you just add in on paragraph 2, where it talks about playgrounds and schools and churches, or it says, or if you just added, or jurisdictional boundary where it is deemed to have these uses within 1,000 feet of a proposed location. That solves our problem. We get and enjoy the same protections that you've created for residents of the county. And if that's too difficult to do, creating just a paragraph 4 that says within 1,000 feet of a jurisdictional boundary of another city. That solves the problem. We'd be totally supportive, and I appreciate you listening today. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. My name is Will Cheeseman. I'm speaking on behalf of the Santee Solutions Coalition.
You should be allowed to talk.
And I'm speaking also in favor of the proposed time change to 2009 for the regulations. But I also wanted to read a letter that I submitted yesterday on behalf of the coalition. I don't know if it was received by the secretary or not. I have a copy of it.
What was received yesterday, we have not had a chance.
Okay, well, I'll go ahead and read it.
Please,
Okay.
as long as you read it within the 3 minutes.
Okay, I'll go quickly. I'm writing on behalf of the Santee Solutions Coalition about our concerns for the future of the unincorporated area immediately to the south and the border of Santee. So we're on the north end of this same strip of land that we've been talking about, and the east of Gillespie Field. The city of Santee does not tolerate dispensaries within its city limits, and this unincorporated area is a concern for us. Very near this area are establishments that youth gather that are just immediate east of there. That would be the Starbucks and the Taco Bell, as well as the In-N-Out further, and Subway, where youth frequent from Santee. Having dispensaries near these locations where Santee youth frequent is simply unacceptable. Therefore, this time we respectfully request that the Planning Commission and the county supervisors consider an additional amendment to the ordinance to remove this whole area that is surrounded by the cities of El Cajon and Santee, both of which have this ban that's been discussed at length today already, of which do not permit dispensaries. And and just remove that from the areas that are permitted from the, in the unincorporated areas. That's all.